Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Katasha Sharma. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Wednesday, the 24th of January. India to show off big Act East policy as ASEAN leaders begin visit. UN designated terrorist Hafiz Saeed files petition to halt takeover of blacklisted charities. And Islamic State claims attack on aid agency in eastern Afghanistan. And now for all the details. Top leaders from Southeast Asian countries started arriving on Wednesday in Indian capital New Delhi for the ASEAN-India Commemorative Summit, which will begin on Thursday. The two-day event will focus on increasing trade and investment between India and the ASEAN countries.
India will be showcasing its Big Act East policy as top leaders from Association of Southeast Asian Nations or ASEAN countries have started arriving in New Delhi for a commemorative summit. The two-day ASEAN-India Commemorative Summit, which will begin on Thursday, will focus on increasing trade and investment between India and ASEAN countries. The summit will also mark the silver jubilee of India's partnership with the regional bloc. On Wednesday, Prime Ministers of Vietnam and Cambodia landed in New Delhi to attend the India-ASEAN Commemorative Summit. The two leaders are among the 10 ASEAN leaders who will be hosted by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. In a first, all the 10 ASEAN leaders will also be chief guests at India's Republic Day celebrations on Friday. Relations with ASEAN countries are important to India since it is part of the country's Look East policy and Prime Minister Modi's Act East policy. India and ASEAN together represents a combined population of 2 billion people and economy close to $5 trillion.
India's powerful regional leader Lalu Prasad Yadav was on Wednesday convicted by a special federal police court in a third fodder scam case. The court sentenced Yadav to 5-year jail in the scam that took place in eastern Bihar province in the 90s.
India's powerful regional leader and former Railways Minister Lalu Prasad Yadav was on Wednesday convicted by a special federal police court in eastern Ranchi city in a third fodder scam case. Yadav has already been convicted in 2 out of 5 other cases related to the fodder scams that took place in eastern Bihar province in the 90s. The court also found former Bihar Chief Minister Jagannath Mishra guilty in the case pertaining to fraudulent withdrawal of nearly $5.8 million from the Chai Basa treasury in the 1990s. Yadav was first convicted in a fodder scam case in 2013 and was awarded 5 years imprisonment, while the conviction in the second case came in December last year. The trial in 3 cases gained momentum May last year after the Supreme Court directed the trial to be completed in 9 months.
In news from Pakistan, UN designated terrorist Hafiz Saeed on Tuesday said he had filed a petition in a Pakistani High Court to halt government plans to seize control of his charities, which are blacklisted by the US as terrorist fronts. The request comes 2 days ahead of the visit of a UN Security Council team to Pakistan to assess the country's progress against blacklisted groups.
UN designated terrorist Hafiz Saeed on Tuesday said he had filed a court petition to halt Pakistan government's plans to seize control of his charities, which have been blacklisted by the US as terrorist fronts. While addressing a news conference in Pakistan's eastern Lahore city, where his charities are based, the founder of Lashkar-e-Taiba or LET terror group said any government moves against him would be carrying out the will of the United States and India.
हमने हाई कोर्ट के अंदर रिट कर दी है जो खबरें इस वक्त चल रही हैं हुकूमती अक़दामात जो होने जा रहे हैं या वफद यूनाइटेड नेशन का जो आ रहा है.
Saeed's statements comes after Pakistani Prime Minister Shahid Khaqan Abbasi on Monday said his government will push ahead with plans to seize control of Saeed's charities. Saeed is blamed by the US and India for 2008 Mumbai attacks that killed 166 people. He denies any role in the attacks and claims he and his charities have no links to militants. LET, Saeed and charities that he controls, Jamaat-ud-Dawa or JUD and the Falah-e-Insaniyat Foundation are all included on terrorism blacklist by the UN Security Council and the United States.
Moving on, protests erupted across Gilgit-Baltistan over killing of a student from the illegally occupied region in Pakistan. The demonstrators blamed the inaction against the perpetrator shows the appalling state of insensitivity of Islamabad towards the people of Gilgit-Baltistan.
Protests were held recently across Gilgit-Baltistan over killing of a student from illegally occupied region in Pakistan. The Lover Abbas, a first-year college student from Gilgit, was brutally beaten up by a group of men in Lahore city of Pakistan's Punjab province. The protesters, which included students and civil society organizations, raised slogans against the killing and demanded authorities to take strict action against those involved. They also demanded security for people from Gilgit-Baltistan living in various cities of the province.
हम मजबूर हैं तुम्हारे शहरों में आके तालीम हासिल करने के लिए। बेशक बेशक। क्यों मजबूर हैं? क्योंकि हमारे वसाइल तुम्हारे इस्लामाबाद में खर्च हो रहे हैं। बेशक। वसाइल तुम्हारे कराची में खर्च हो रहे हैं। बेशक। हमारे वसाइल तुम्हारे लाहौर में लग रहे हैं। हमारे वसाइल कोयटा में लग रहे हैं। हमारे केटू की सयाहत की आमदनी, रागा पोशी की आमदनी, नागा पर्वत की आमदनी, मादनियात की आमदनी, जंगलात की आमदनी तुम लोगों पर खर्च हो रहा है। इसलिए हमारे यहाँ पर कोई यूनिवर्सिटी नहीं है।
Locals have long blamed Islamabad through its repressive policies has never allowed persons from the region to grow academically. And when aspirants like the Lover who go out to attain higher education in other cities, they are meted out with this discriminatory attitude.
In news from Afghanistan, 2 persons were killed and several injured after attackers set off a car bomb near an office of the Save the Children Aid Agency in Afghanistan's eastern Nangarhar province on Wednesday and clashed with security forces. The dead included 1 security force member and 1 civilian, officials confirmed. Militant group Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the attack. There are several other aid groups in government offices in the area, raising the possibility that Save the Children was not the target. The clash was still going on till the last reports came in. The Nangarhar province is near the porous border with Pakistan. It has recently become a stronghold for Islamic State, one of Afghanistan's most dangerous militant groups. More on news from Afghanistan. Afghanistan's Air Force on Tuesday received 4 Blackhawks from the US forces. The US had earlier announced to double the air support to Afghan security forces to put more pressure on insurgent groups in the country.
4 Blackhawk helicopters were handed over to Afghan Air Force or AAF by the US forces on Tuesday. The Hawks were given at a handover ceremony in Kandahar airport. The new choppers, added to the 4 other helicopters handed over to AAF by the US a few months ago, bringing the total number to 8. The US had earlier announced it will invest $4 billion in the next 3 to 4 years in the Afghan Air Force to enable them to stand on their own feet.
In Iraq and Syria,
در عراق و سوریه 98% داعشیان نابود شده است و ما اینجا در افغانستان نیروها و امکاناتمان را بیشتر می سازیم و این کار ما را قادر خواهد ساخت که جنگ را به گونه لازم در برابر حراس افغانان به پیش ببریم.
The Afghan forces are being backed by US troops who are training them so that they can eventually take over the country's defense and security. The US forces are planning to intensify joint Afghan-US airstrikes against insurgent groups in 2018 as part of its ongoing counter-terrorism efforts.
A group of Indian fishermen were chased away by Sri Lanka Navy on Tuesday for alleged poaching in the island's nation waters and threatened at point-blank range. Fishermen from both India and Sri Lanka often breach the undemarcated maritime boundaries, leading to their arrest and detention.
A group of Indian fishermen were chased away by Sri Lankan Navy on Tuesday for alleged poaching in its waters and threatened at point-blank range, a fishermen's association claimed. Reportedly, the Sri Lankan Navy hurled stones at nearly 2,000 Indian fishermen and snapped the nets of 50 boats while they were fishing near the Kachatevu Island on Monday. Sri Lanka has long fumed over poaching and illegal fishing by Indian fishermen that it says depletes the catch of its own fishermen.
நேற்று இலங்கை கடற்படை மீனவர்களை துப்பாக்கி முனையில் எல்லா மீனவர்களையும் விரட்டி அடிச்சு ஒவ்வொரு படகுக்கு 30,000 50,000 வரைக்கும் தொடர்ந்து நஷ்டம் ஒவ்வொரு நாளும் நஷ்டப்படுது என்னைக்காவது போய் நிம்மதியா நம்ம பகுதியில் மீன் பிடிக்க போனா கூட இலங்கை கடற்படை அச்சுறுத்தல் அதிகாரத்தன்மை அதிகமா இருக்கு.
India shares an expensive oceanic border with Sri Lanka without any perceptible demarcation, and fishermen on both sides ignore the rules while netting their catch. Fishermen from both sides often breach the undemarcated maritime boundaries, leading to their arrest and detention.
Fresh snowfall in the Himalayan region of North India on Tuesday brought delight to the tourists as the snow painted the hill town of Shimla white. The season drop in mercury caught locals off guard, and they were seen making bonfires on roads.
The temperature dropped precipitously across North India on Tuesday because of the ongoing cold wave in India's Jammu and Kashmir. Fresh snowfall in the Himalayan region of North India brought delight to the tourists as the snow painted India's northern hill town Shimla white for the first time this year. While some tourists were seen carrying umbrellas, others posed for pictures and danced their way through the snow.
शिमला में आए थे जी उम्मीद लेके कि बर्फ पड़े ठंड बढ़े और आते ही ऊपर वाले ने सुन ली हमारी और खूब बर्फबारी हो रही है और ठंड बढ़ गई है बहुत ज़्यादा बहुत मज़ा आ रहा है enjoying the season enjoying the snow.
Residents in India's northern Kanpur city sat around bonfires to keep themselves warm while others wore multiple layers of clothing as they stepped out.
ठंड बढ़ेगी जो चीज़ की जैसे कमी है वो पूरा करी जाएगी जैसे अगर कंबल कम पड़ेंगे
Similar scenes were seen in national capital New Delhi, where people in night shelters wrapped themselves in shawls and blankets to beat the chill as the mercury further dipped in the city. The temperatures in Indian subcontinent dipped drastically during the months of December and January.
Well, that's all we have for you from South Asia this evening. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/ASEAN-Newsline and follow us on Twitter @ASEAN-Newsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.